Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Allison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide. Allison, would you agree that we are living in a time where we're seeing people wanting children to read and write at younger ages?
Yes, I would agree with that.
And it isn't necessarily realistic because children develop at different rates, and reading and writing are developmental skills.
Correct. And I see this in parents and school districts and school systems and schools that they children to younger age, and it gets younger and younger every year, it seems. But they'll all learn how to read. Every one of us.
Unless they're not typically developing.
Unless they're not, correct. Unless they're not typically developing. And in that case, they would have other interventions to help them along. You're going to learn how to read. So
right.
It doesn't matter whether you learn how to read when you're 3 or 4 or when you're 7. But
typically children will learn to read closer to 5, 6, or 7.
5, 6, and 7. Yeah.
5, 6, and 7 is the age. Not so much pre-K and younger.
Right.
There was a product out for a while there about babies being able to read, and that product no longer exists because it wasn't true.
Yes, it's
it just was. It was false. And I think that we need to both recognize that reading and writing are developmental skills, and that typically developing children will get there. But there are things that we can do in order to encourage them to want to read and write.
Yes.
And one of those things is modeling.
Model it. When I was a kid, my mom is still to this day a very big reader. She read her own books, not just books to us, her own books in front of us all the time.
Very important. It isn't just about reading to them. Yes, you need to read to them and with them. It's true. Children ideally should be reading about 30 minutes a day. And you can't sit with a young child and read 30 minutes in one clip. So you have to read periodically with them throughout the day. But they also need to see us reading.
Right, because they need to see that it's important. My mom still reads. And now because I really do credit my mom to this. Because my mom is a big reader, I am now a big reader. And I think it's because I saw how important it was to her to use that. In her case, it was to relax, but it showed me as a kid that I want to learn how to read, because look at her. She could read a book that's 300 pages long, and I want to be able to do that.
And the truth is, children will value what they see far more than what you tell them. So if I say to a child, it's really important that you read and write, but they never see me read and write, then it teaches them that it doesn't have value to an adult. And what do children primarily want to do? Grow up. So, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't value it when we're kids, being a kid.
Yeah.
And we want to be very grown-up-like. And if we never see grown-ups reading, we don't think it actually has adult value. And we don't think that it matters and is important. My dad was a 3-pack-a-day smoker who would sit with a cigarette in his hand and tell us not to smoke. Same thing.
My dad was the same way.
Right? Doesn't work so well. Doesn't work, but same thing. So we saw him smoking, which sends a subconscious message to you that this is very grown up and sophisticated.
Yeah, this is what grown-ups do.
This is what grown-ups do, and if they see you reading, it's far more likely that they will want to pick up a book on their own and look at it.
Yeah.
Same for writing, and I think that's a particular challenge in today's world.
I agree that it's a challenge because everybody uses their iPads and phones for shopping lists and everything nowadays, but I think it's more important to show the kids, write a shopping list on paper with them, instead of putting it on your phone, so they can see, the words that you say can be written in this form. It's not just words that you say, they are also words that can be written.
Right. And if they see me writing pen to paper, a shopping list, I don't know what else, a note, a to-do list, a note, something, then they will understand that being able to write on paper matters. They will be more apt to go over and pick up something to write with and grab a piece of paper, even from the time they're really little and they're still just scribbling.
Yes. I see this in my class now because I do write things down that they say. So, like, when we start a project, I usually write down, like, what do you already know about this and what do you want to know? And then at the end, we write down everything we learned. And there are people who have said, well, why are you writing that? You work with kids that can't read. I'm like, yeah, but that's the point.
But they're watching you write what they say.
They're watching me write what they say, and then I hang it up, and then they can go over and refer to it because they remember what they said. So in a way, and now I see that my kids in my class are taking pencils and trying to write their own little notes and charts and things like that on the paper I have in the art center.
Because what they're learning is that what you say is actually what's written, that there's a connection between the written and spoken word. So modeling is really important. Taking dictation from children is really important. And we shouldn't be changing their words, by the way. Whatever it is they say, you write down and show them that that's what they just said.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if the grammar is 100% correct or not. We shouldn't be changing it.
The grammar's not going to be necessarily.
No. But what it teaches, I mean, you have to look at your goal. And my goal is to teach them the connection between the written and the spoken word.
Right.
And the fact that writing things down has value.
Right.
There was something you just said. You were telling your story about taking dictation, and I made a mental note to say something. And see, my problem was I didn't write it down.
You didn't write it down.
I didn't write it down. And now I can't remember what I was going to refer to. So that would have been a really good lesson for me, to write it down. So if it comes to me, I'm just going to kind of jump in here.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what it was you said.
Going back to the grammar, I had this little girl in my class make cards it was Administrative Professionals Day, and so we made a card for the secretaries and the administrative people at school, and the one little girl, she wrote, Miss Barbara, her gonna love this, right? And I wrote it just like that.
It's so cute.
And it's just so cute. And you know what? Miss Barbara loved it, And then I told the little girl's mom that I was like, oh, she said the cutest thing today. And she goes, well, now I know that she actually said it because she always does this. She always says, her gonna love this. And I said, yeah, that's exactly what she said. So she goes, now I know that you actually do write down the actual things that they say.
Right.
Because she knew her, that's how she talked. And they're 3 and that's how they talk. And the grammar will come later.
It will come. I remember what I was going to say.
Good.
Right. Oh my gosh. You were talking about taking dictation when children do a project, and I just wanted to define project for people. Allison isn't talking about a craft. Allison is talking about taking dictation about what children do or don't know about something in their real world that they're going to experiment with.
Yes. So, for example, we did a unit on butterflies. So I asked them in the beginning, what do you know about butterflies? And I wrote all that down. And what do you want to know? And so then it kind of guides the unit of like, oh, they want to learn more about this. I'll find more information about that.
In teacher speak, those are KWL charts.
KWL charts. And I didn't want to say that because I didn't know if people knew what that was.
I do. And now everyone's going to, I want everyone to go back to your preschool and say, where are the KWL charts?
Yes, because it's so important to look for those.
It's KWL they're standing for
what they know,
right? Know
what they want to
know, and learned.
They learned,
right?
Yeah.
Know, want to know, and learned. And I hope everyone goes back now and says, "Well, where are the KWL charts? I'd like to know what my child is saying." Okay, that's a whole nother episode of different topic. So we're going to go back to modeling. You need to model reading things for children, and I think you should model reading all sorts of things. I think they should see you reading books.
Yes. They should see you reading the labels on the food.
Yes.
Recipes.
Yes.
What else? Anything.
Really. And I know that most things now are stored on technology. I understand that, but they also need to see you doing things off of paper.
Right. It's almost like a lost art.
And not
everybody types things now.
It really is.
So it's
I do
hard.
too.
Yeah.
I do too. And some people say to me, "Well, what's the point in them seeing me do it on paper? They're not going to do it on paper." Here's the point. Right now, they're being asked to write on paper.
Right.
And they're not going to value it. Right now, they're being asked to look at books in their schools.
Right.
And they're not going to value it.
Yeah.
And then people will bemoan, "Oh, the book industry is going to be destroyed." Well, not if we teach people to value books.
You got to value it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take your kids to the library so that libraries don't die.
That's right. Please.
You know what I mean? Please do it.
Please take them to the library. I have a couple of friends who I'll have to tag on Facebook to listen to this because they work in libraries.
Oh, I have 2 friends. I'll tag them too.
Yeah.
And they'll be so happy that I said that.
Save the library.
Save the library.
Teach children the importance of the library. I still love going to the library. And sometimes I'm just browsing.
I go to the library every Saturday. I'm at the library.
Right? I love the library so much. I could spend hours there.
Do you know that one of the teachers that I work with, she said in her son's school, they don't have a library in her son's school anymore.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they turned it into like a technology center.
Well, I know a lot of schools have both. I know a lot of schools have both.
Yeah, like my school has both. But like in her school, they took it away.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and I
terrible.
thought it was just so sad. And she's a reader, so she was like, and her kids are readers because she's a reader. And she's like, now we have to go to the town library. She goes, which I don't mind. We were going to go anyway. But
that's terrible.
They don't have it inside the school anymore.
Well,
I thought that was awful.
I'm going to tell you, as an author, you can look online and see what libraries books are in. And one of the things I love to do about my book, it's the wonderful thing about being traditionally published, by the way, is that the publisher sends information or has salespeople who go to libraries. One of the things I get the biggest kick out of is looking at how many libraries have taken in my book in universities and public libraries. Because I value libraries.
I also know that this is true because Cindy will email me and be like, did you know?
My book is my book's at Fordham University. It's in the library.
I know, but that's such a great thing. You know?
Yeah, but I wonder if young children will value it.
I know.
I don't know. We also need to have children watching us write on paper. Not only reading books and things, writing a variety of things on paper. So all those things that you do now in your smartphone, iPad, computer, take a look at them and think how much of this could I actually just be writing on paper so that my kids see me write?
Right. Don't use an app for your shopping list. I know they have apps for that now. Just write it on paper and hang it on your fridge.
Or don't do what I do, which is go to the market and pretend like you have a list because I never actually write the list. Actually write the list.
Write the list. Write the list.
Write the to-do list. My husband is big on to-do lists. My husband sits every weekend. It's so funny. He'll sit every weekend and take like a piece of junk mail and reuse the envelope. And he'll sit on the back of the envelope writing his to-do list for the weekend. And my now grown children will laugh at that. But hey, it taught them to value writing.
Right. And that's the way your husband organizes. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. He still organizes
I
that
bet
way.
you he gets way more done than I do.
He does. You know what? I watch him.
Writes it down.
I watch him crossing things off this list with great satisfaction.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's satisfying to cross things off of a list.
It really taught my kids to make lists.
Yeah.
It did. I don't know how often they do it, but they understand the value of Dad's to-do list. And they also understand they understood when they were early learners the value of writing.
Yeah.
So again, grab that paper, grab that book, grab that magazine, think about that to-do list and model the importance of literacy for children. And then when they are developmentally ready, they're going to pick it up and do it on their own. Yeah. We hope that you subscribe to this podcast for other tips and ideas and thoughts about raising or working with young children. You can learn more about me at helpingkidsachieve.com, and you can email me from that website. My email address is there as well as a contact form. And you can also contact Allison if you'd like. Tell them how, Allison.
Yes, take a piece of paper and write this down. my email is allisonjoy79@gmail.com.
I think I have that stored in my computer, Allison.
Yeah.
I'm all techie like that.
I know.
But no, I hope everybody writes it down and show your kids you wrote it down.
You wrote it down.
There you go. And hopefully we will encounter you again on another episode.